I admit it. I'm the typical ugly American. I only learned how to speak one language, English. And when I am hired to go to work in other countries, and I've been fortunate to work in 45 nations, my clients, whether they are executives at major companies, presidents of countries, prime ministers, Nobel Peace Prize winners, you name it, they have to speak to English. Now, I'm lucky that so many of them are multilingual. They're polyglots. They may speak three, four, five, some of them 11 languages. But I do feel a little guilty, frankly, that I'm making them bend to me. They have to speak in their second language or third language, and I can't speak to their language. There have been times when people say, "Oh, we hear you have great credentials as a media trainer. Can you come to South America? Can you come to Ecuador and do a training to our executives?" And they're all Spanish speakers. Can you do it in Spanish? No, we could do a translator, but I can't do it. So it's cost me business, frankly. That's not good. But it's just cut me off from helping the 7 billion people on planet Earth who don't speak English. Now, there are 8 plus billion people on the planet, a billion or so speak English. And if you're only going to speak one language, it is, thanks to, I guess, British conquest and colonialism, it's been very helpful speaking English, but it's limiting. How do you change that? In theory, I could spend 2 hours a night on various apps, Duolingo and others, learning different languages, but I admit it, I'm too lazy. Not necessarily a good thing. And yet I still want to connect with other people. I want to be able to have conversations. I want to share my expertise, my training, my wisdom when it comes to communication skills and personal development. I want to do it with people around the world, regardless of what country they live in, regardless of what language they speak. Fortunately, there is a solution today, and it's almost magical. I'm talking about the power of artificial intelligence to do not just translation, not just simultaneous translation, but to do it in my voice through the power of digital cloning. So those of you new to this channel might not have seen this before. Those of you who've been here before hear me talk a lot about my digital clone. So let me introduce to you again TJ Walker AI. This is my digital clone. It has been built with every one of my books you see behind me. Things like this book, which we'll be talking about later today, Building an Interactive AI Video Clone. My public speaking books, thousands and thousands of videos from my courses, all put into this brain. And it now allows anyone in the world to talk to my clone, but in their language. Now, English is the default because I speak English, but there is a drop down button here where my clone can now speak to someone in Arabic, Bulgarian, Chinese, Croatian, Chinese, Czech, Danish, Dutch, English, Finnish, French, German, Greek, Hindi, Hungarian, Indonesian, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Malay, Norwegian, Polish, Portuguese, Romanian, Russian, Slovak, Spanish, Swedish, Tagalog, where they speak in the Philippines, Tamil, and forgive me if I'm butchering even the name of the language, Turkish, Ukrainian, and Vietnamese. So this obviously is not every language in the world, but according to my calculations and those of Chat GPT, this covers about 7 billion people in the world speak one of these languages, or at least have a working understanding. So to me, it's extremely exciting to go from not being able to speak to 85% of the world to now being able to speak to basically 85, 90% of the world. So it's extremely exciting. You know, some of these languages, I don't know if I've ever even heard. So let's just, I mean, I don't know that I've personally heard a lot of Bulgarian ever. Let's just see what it even sounds like. So it's accessing my clone. Now, it may start speaking to me in English if it hears me speak English. We'll test. TJ, I'm not hearing.
Здравейте, аз съм клона на TJ. Как мога да ви помогна?
Okay. Thank you, TJ. Can you speak to me more in this Bulgarian language?
Разбира се, ще се опитам да говоря по-добре на български. Какво точно искате да обсъдим? Може би имате конкретен въпрос или тема, която ви интересува. Ще се радвам да помогна с каквото мога. Споделете малко повече за това, което ви вълнува.
Okay, so I have no idea what it was saying, but I'm pretty sure it was a lot better than if I were trying to speak Bulgarian to people. Now, I do speak a little bit of Spanish. Let's test that. But I think you can tell, it's not just that it's speaking a foreign language. It is speaking with the tones of my actual voice. You can see that's my image, that's my face. It's in the same room I'm in now because that's how I trained this digital clone. So that to me is part of what's so exciting, is it makes it seem like a real interaction. By the way, I should point out, this show is brought to you by this book. And this is Building an Interactive AI Video Clone. This book is available as a Kindle book, a Kindle on-demand book. It's available as a paperback, as a hardback, as an audio book on audible.com and 57 other places that sell audio books right now. So if you want to know how to make your own digital clone, you may want to check out that book. So let's try another version where I at least can say a couple of words. Let's try Spanish. I'm coming to you live today on Halloween Day 2024. This technology has only filtered down to the platform I'm using in the last 6 weeks or so. So this is still new. Most people don't know about it. So let's try a Spanish version. I can speak maybe a couple of words in Spanish. Let's see how that works. I'm going to call it. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower for the initial connection. Hola, TJ.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Veo que estás en un espacio bastante acogedor con esos libros y luces azules. ¿Estás trabajando en algo específico o simplemente disfrutando de un buen libro? Cuéntame, ¿en qué puedo ayudarte hoy?
Un momento, por favor. DJ, mi problema es no tengo confidencia.
Claro, hablemos de cómo fortalecer.
Un momento. No interrupto, por favor.
Entiendo que te sientas así.
DJ, un momento, por favor. Mi problema es no tengo confidencia. ¿Por qué?
Estás buscando mejorar tu confianza, ¿verdad? La confianza es algo que se construye. Entiendo que te sientes frustrado por la falta de confianza. Es un sentimiento común, pero lo importante es que estás dispuesto a trabajar en ello. La confianza no es algo que se tiene o no se tiene, es algo que se construye con el tiempo y la práctica. Una técnica que puedes probar es la visualización. Antes de enfrentarte a una situación que te pone nervioso, cierra los ojos e imagina que estás manejando las...
Okay, so a few glitches there. As you could see, initially, the clone didn't talk to me right away. It's supposed to come right on the second it pops up and say, hi, I'm TJ's clone. How may I help you? In whatever language it is. So it didn't do that. So that was glitch number one. And glitch number two, it was interrupting me. It shouldn't do that. It should, if it's hearing me speak, it's supposed to go entirely into listening mode. And it didn't do that. So it is still a work in progress. It's certainly not perfect. But what technology is perfect? People are going to doubt me, and they don't even believe me when I say this, but I remember the first iPhone. I bought it. I didn't wait in line, but I did get one the first 2 weeks. It was impossible to type on. The keyboard on glass was just horrible. I actually returned it and went back to a Palm Trio. So no technology is perfect when it first comes out. This is hardly perfect, but it's so much better than nothing. than me simply saying, oh, I'm sorry, I don't speak your language. We can't do business, which is essentially what I've done before. Now, this is the video clone. Let's try just calling. And we don't have to have the video component. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. So I'm just going to click the button to speak to TJ. So I'm going to hit the phone button, and we'll try the English first. You scroll down. We're going to start a call.
Hi, I'm TJ's clone. How may I help you?
Hi, TJ. I've got an interview on CNN later today where I'm talking about the power of digital clones and how I think all subject matter experts are going to want and need to have their own interactive clone. Any advice for me preparing for this interview?
Hey, TJ, that's exciting. Being on CNN is a fantastic opportunity to showcase the transformative potential of digital clones. Here's a tip to make your message resonate. Focus on storytelling. Share a compelling narrative about how digital clones can revolutionize industries by providing personalized 24/7 interaction. You might say something like, imagine a world where experts can extend their reach globally, offering guidance and support without the constraints of time or geography. This paints a vivid picture for your
TJ, I
audience.
just want to make sure if you stop when I talk. Great. So that time the phone was stopping instantly, the audio version, whereas the previous video one didn't. So there is some variability between the video version and the pure audio version. Let's try a different language now. Let's try Korean. Now, I don't know many words in Korean, but I know just a couple. So let's test that and see what it says.
안녕하세요. 저는 TJ의 클론입니다. 어떻게 도와드릴까요?
안녕하세요. 감사합니다.
안녕하세요. 만나서 반갑습니다. 오늘 어떻게 도와드릴 수 있을까요? 혹시 커뮤니케이션 스킬이나 개인 발전에 대해 궁금한 점이 있으신가요? 아니면 다른 주제에 대해 이야기하고 싶으신가요? 말씀해 주세요.
Okay, I don't know anything else to say. Clone, can you talk to me and give me public speaking tips in Korean, even though I'm speaking to you in English right now? So I may have thrown it for a loop by speaking in English and when it's in the Korean mode. I think, judging fairly, the start was good. It sounded like my voice. And earlier on, we had problems.
어떤 주제에 대해 안내를 원하시는지 말씀해 주시면 더 구체적으로 도와드릴 수 있을 것 같습니다. 커뮤니케이션 스킬이나 개인 발전에 관한 것이라면 제가 도와드릴 수 있는 부분.
So this to me is interesting because it really does sound like the people I know who are native Korean speakers speak. It's a very tonal language, like many Asian languages are. And yet it still sounds like it was based on my voice. So that to me was pretty fascinating, although it did stop there and it didn't know what to do when I was speaking in English. Let's try another version. We'll stick with the audio only version, but in a moment we're going to go to text and see what that has to say. So we'll try Russian now. Again, I only know a few words, but I'll at least start off the conversation in the language that the clone is expecting. Привет, DJ, как дела?
Привет, рад тебя слышать. У меня все отлично, спасибо. Как у тебя дела? Есть ли что-то, с чем я могу помочь тебе сегодня? Может быть, ты хочешь улучшить свои навыки общения или личностного роста? Дай знать, и мы вместе поработаем над этим.
TJ, Russian version, TJ, give me your top 10 tips on how to be a better public speaker.
To become a better public speaker, it's all about practice and
So
refining.
there, it's interesting. I don't know entirely if that's good or bad, but it instantly switched to the language of the user. So ultimately, I think that may be the best thing, is not forcing the user to click what language, but just having something that says, speak in your own language, and then instantly following what the user says. So that may be where we're headed. I'm not sure. So let's try another version of this, because there's video we've talked about. There's the phone call, the audio part, which, by the way, my clone has its own phone number too. I can just dial directly in a WhatsApp. If you're interested in that, go to tjwalker.ai. It's all laid out there. But for right now, I'm going to go to Google, and I'm just going to say, translate the following into Spanish. And I'm going to say, give me your top 10 tips on how to be a better public speaker. Wow, my spelling's ferocious, but it shouldn't matter. Okay, so well, I guess I just should have done ChatGPT for that, because the Google didn't send it to. So let me just do that again. I'm going to cut and paste that, and I'm going to give it to my clone and see how it answers. Translate to Spanish. Give me your top 10 tips on how to be a better public speaker. Give as much detail as possible. So I'm going to use the text version of that. So I'm copying that from ChatGPT. I'm now going to go into my clone. So again, I'm just on tjwalker.ai that houses all the different versions of my clone. I'm going to go to the communications one. We've tried video. We've tried the live call. Now we'll do the chat. So I'm going to put the text in. Here I don't have to specify the language. The way it's supposed to work is it will just give me whatever language I post the question in, it will answer in that language. So I've just posted the question of, give me your top 10 tips on how to be a better public speaker. Let's see how it answers. So pretty quickly putting a lot of stuff out there. So it gave 10 tips, and it did it pretty much instantly. Now, how do we know this isn't complete gibberish? I mean, I know a couple of words. Claro means they're just saying, of course. Audiencia, I can tell it's an audience. So let's translate this back into English and see if it even made sense. Which, by the way, if you ask me to give my top 10 tips, I can't think that way. I could certainly start giving tips and say, here's what's important, here's a second, here's a third, and there's an additional one. But I would not be able to organize it that quickly, that efficiently. Okay, so here I am. Let me just go to a fresh page for my chat. I'm going to say, translate the following into English. And you can say, I don't type very well in general. You see typos there. Fortunately, chat doesn't mind. Okay. So here's what my Spanish version of my clone was actually saying. Of course, here are my top 10 tips for becoming a better public speaker. with all the details you need. Know your audience, simplify your message, tell stories, practice on video, use body language, manage nerves, be authentic, engage with the audience, review and adjust, visualize success. So if I'm being objective, this is pretty good. This is very, maybe not 100% exactly as I would have answered, but it's pretty darn close. So in my mind, that's passed the test. Now, what I can't tell you, since I'm not a native speaker in other languages, is how does it sound to someone in that language? There are varying degrees of how any spoken language can sound. It could sound like completely unintelligible gibberish if it's spoken way too quickly or the wrong words or the wrong grammar. I hope it's not coming across like that. It could sound it could more or less make sense, even though some of the words are wrong and the syntax is off. It could sound like good grammar and vocabulary, but it could still sound strange and alien and robotic and clearly not human. It could sound, all of those things could be pretty good, sound human, but not sound like a native speaker. And then the ultimate test would be if you're hearing it and it sounds like not only a real person, but it sounds like a native speaker. Now, according to people who have tested my clone, it's not at that level yet. But what I have been told is it's now to the point where it's making sense. It is understandable. Originally, it was speaking too quickly, and the 11 Labs service that I believe is the one doing the audio through the platform of Delphi.a that I'm using, they've tweaked it. So I think initially it was speaking way too quickly. Now, at least to my ear, I'm hearing more pauses. I'm hearing a range of speaking speeds, which is infinitely easier for people to understand. So I'm pretty pleased, frankly, with how this is working. What do you think? If you have questions, please let me know. You can post your questions in the comments. If you're watching this on demand, you can post them. I'll likely see them and try to respond clone. I do have a few resources for you. Let's go back to the homepage of tjwalker.ai, which is my home for all things I do that are artificial intelligence related and clone related. So we got several different things going on for you. One is you can just try the clone out and ask the clone, how do I make a clone? You can always do that. You can start speaking to my clone. It costs you nothing until you've used a certain number of minutes, but there's no surprises. You don't ever have to give a credit card if you don't want to. You can talk to my clone through text without even giving your name or email. So you can start that out right away. Other ways that I do help people who are trying to use it, and you can see for my clone, I have different versions of the clone. I have one that's focused on communication skills. Now, taking you behind the scenes, they all access the same database, but the initial conversation of what it says is different. The communication skills clone starts off by saying, hi, I'm TJ's clone. How may I help you communicate more effectively today? The job interview coach says, hi, I'm TJ's clone. How can I help you prepare for your job interview, your upcoming job interview? Life skills coach, they're all a little bit different, but they all access the same information. So I have mine divvied up into 4 different versions of my clone. And then I have one that's just kept privately for my private clients. Now, I have some tools for you if you want to get better at learning how to make your own clone. So one of the things I have now is a course that comes with consulting time from me. So this is my course on how to make a clone, plus you get 5 hours of live time to ask me questions and to really go deep, and I can hold your hand. I've got another course where the content is similar, but you're only buying an hour of my time. So that's something I have. And you can see that the prices are all transparent and right there. I also have new versions of my book. Now, the book is soon going to be available on every single major platform. But for right now, it is available on Amazon. It's available as a Kindle book. It's available as a Kindle Unlimited book. It's available as an audio book. It's available as a hardcover book. And I got to say, for a publish on demand book, I was very pleased with the quality, the printing, the look and feel of the book. There's the paperback version as well. So it's really a fascinating time to be a content creator, where you can create content and deliver it to people, not just in a digital format, but in a real world, and to do it inexpensively, because I didn't have to go out and buy 10,000 copies of this and store them in a garage. It's all done on demand. So there's no waste. There's no wasteful storage. So a lot of exciting things going on in the world of cloning. So those are some of the ways I do help people. You may want to check out the rest of the site. We do have consulting services for this and a number of other programs as well. We do come to you fairly often right here. We've got the TJ Walker Success Show. I'll be going live tomorrow. And let me just give you a brief update on who our guest will be. We have so many exciting guests come on our program, the TJ Walker Success Show, as well as our specialized segment, the Digital Doppelgangers, where we often interview not only experts on digital cloning, we actually interview their clones as well. So tomorrow we're going to be speaking with Patricia Baronsky Schneider. So that will be an interesting interview. You'll sign in for that. That'll be November 1st. We're into a new month, final 2 months of 2024. So a lot of exciting things going on. I'm going to sign off for today. I'm TJ Walker. Thanks for joining me. And if you ever have questions, you can post them right here. But if you want an immediate answer to a question, you're better off just going right to my clone and asking me, because my clone, unlike me, is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It never needs vacation. It never needs sleep. Thanks so much. See you here tomorrow.